Hi everybody. I thought I might take a little bit of time and experiment with making some paints or some colorants. There's probably a better description of them from things that I have in my own pantry. So you can see here I have chosen 6 different things out of my pantry: paprika, turmeric, beetroot, sage, coffee, and cinnamon. And so I just started off putting a little bit into a container, and I've just boiled the kettle and I'm just squirting some hot water into them to see how well they actually release their colours. I actually think probably fresh beetroot may work better. This was just tin beetroot and I didn't actually use the juice out of the beetroot can, so I think that may even be a better option as well. To actually use the juice out of the beetroot can itself, or to throw some beetroot into the blender would work also. So I just added the water to these. I've stirred them up a little bit and essentially then just leaving them to sit. And I think I just let them sit for maybe half an hour to an hour to see how much colour we would actually be able to extract out of each of the ingredients. Okay, so it's been around an hour. Our colorants are now quite cool, and I'm just going to experiment with them on some paper. So the cinnamon, you can see, is still quite grainy. I wasn't very happy with that. Same with the sage. The colour didn't really come out of that very well. The coffee, well, as we know, coffee is a great colorant anyway, so that one has worked really well. The beetroot, I was expecting it to be quite brighter than this. Like I said, fresh beetroot would probably give you a better result. Now the turmeric, I was quite happy with the effect of the turmeric. I think that it has given quite a strong colour, and later on we'll see that colour is actually held up once it's dry as well. And the same with the paprika, it's given a really nice orangey red colour, so I was quite happy with how that one's worked out. And so I'm just going in and adding with a bit of water now to see what value we can get out of them in terms of lightness and darkness as well. So the water was okay, but I decided that the cinnamon and the sage in particular, I wasn't very happy with the fact that it didn't really dissolve or release any of the colour. For the other ones, it worked quite well. Now, you'll see that I've got cabbage on here as well, and I'll talk about that towards the end. So what I actually decided to do was go back to the original materials, and rather than using water, I was going to use alcohol. So I've used a rubbing alcohol, but I'm sure vodka or something like that with a high strength would do really well. And what you can see is that we've actually got a much more intense colour, and the cinnamon has really released its colour into the alcohol base. The sage is a little bit better. When it first went on wet, it wasn't so great, but it has actually dried to a nice subtle kind of colour there. And yeah, so I think the alcohol has worked much better than just the plain hot water. So definitely try that out. Now the cabbage was really interesting because I was sitting there going, I don't actually have any pinks or purples or greens. And then I thought back to my old science lessons when we used to use cabbage and using acids and bases. So I've actually used a bit of cabbage. I've just chopped it up. It'd be better to put it into a blender to get some real cabbage juice going on. And so that's given me the sort of purpley colour. I've added vinegar into it to give me I think it was a pink, like a hot pink colour. And then I've actually added washing powder, which has turned it to green, which is really good. So, and those colours actually remained once it was dry. The purple and the pink kind of changed a little bit more to a blue. But yeah, cabbage is definitely another good one to experiment as well with using vinegar or the washing powder in it to change its colour. So overall, really happy with the results of this experiment. I think the strong colours of the paprika, the turmeric and the coffee, we knew that they were going to work regardless, but definitely happier with how the cinnamon turned out with the alcohol base, so that's definitely the way to go with that. Using the red cabbage for the blues and the greens is definitely really effective. You can see here on drying, however, the colours have faded a little bit, particularly with the washing powder with the green. Beetroot just didn't really cut it. It dried to a brown. But overall, you can get some really nice colours just with things out of your pantry. go, give it a go.